All right, let's talk about that feeling. You know the one, that pit in your stomach right before you have to speak in front of a group. It's pretty much one of the most common fears out there. But what if I told you that whole fear is basically built on a lie? Today, we're going to pull that feeling apart and show you why it's not what you think it is.
Yeah, seriously. What if the biggest fear on the planet is just an illusion? That's the big question we're tackling. What if that terror, that anxiety that just grabs a hold of so many of us, is all based on a huge misunderstanding of how things really are? Stick with me here because we're about to unravel this thing piece by piece.
Okay, so first things first. Let's not pretend this feeling isn't real. It is intense. It's physical, it's in your gut, and it feels incredibly, incredibly real when you're in it. So let's just take a second and really acknowledge what that spotlight of fear actually feels like.
You know what I'm talking about, right? The heart pounding in your chest, your mind going totally blank, the sweaty palms. It's like your entire body just goes into panic mode. That's your fight or flight system kicking into overdrive because it thinks you're in danger. And what's the big danger? The fear of being judged.
And this quote from a Reddit thread just nails that internal monologue, doesn't it? God, I hope no one is thinking of me. It's not about wanting attention. It's the exact opposite. It's this desperate wish to just be invisible, to escape what feels like 1,000 eyes scrutinizing you.
So, where does a feeling that intense even come from? Well, the answer is deep in our own psychology. It's actually a clever but flawed trick our own ego plays on us to try and cope. Let's break down how your brain actually builds this fear.
And here's the absolute core of the problem. When we look at an audience, we don't see a bunch of individuals, Johnny, Susie, Pablo. Nope, our brain just lumps them all together into one giant, scary, judgmental monster we call the crowd. This crowd complex is basically your brain's defense mechanism, but it's a really flawed one.
And this leads to a really fascinating paradox. Just look at this comparison. On one side, you've got social anxiety, where the goal is basically to become invisible. On the other, you have main character syndrome, which craves the spotlight. They seem like total opposites, right? But believe it or not, they both come from the exact same faulty assumption.
And this is the big illusion. It doesn't matter if you're terrified of being looked at or you're desperate to be seen. Either way, your ego has tricked you into believing that you are the absolute center of everyone else's universe, that every single eye is locked on you, judging every tiny thing you do. But what if that's just not true at all?
Okay, this next part, this is the real heart of it all. This is where we're going to completely shatter that illusion by looking at what an audience actually pays attention to. So get ready, because this might totally change how you see things.
So listen to this. This is so important. That mistake you made, that stumble, that moment you lost your train of thought, the thing you've been playing on a loop in your head for days, the audience barely noticed. Seriously, if they even noticed it at all.
Just check out this story from a public speaking coach. A woman came up to her, totally mortified about a question she felt she answered badly during a presentation. She'd been obsessing over it, replaying it in her head every single time she saw the friend who asked the question. And get this happened 2 years ago. The coach just looked at her and said, "Of course she has forgotten, and you need to too."
And if you think 2 years is extreme, when that same coach told this story at a workshop, a guy in the audience just pointed at himself and said, 10 years. 10. He had been beating himself up over one little speaking mistake for an entire decade. It just goes to show, we are always our own worst critics by a long shot.
And this quote just sums it all up perfectly. Your audience is not sitting there waiting for you to slip up. They're not your enemy. They aren't critics waiting to pounce on a mistake. They are there for the message. They're looking for value, not perfection. They're actually on your side, hoping you give them something interesting.
All right, so we've pulled back the curtain on the illusion. Now what do we do about it? How do we actually fight back? This next part is all about the toolkit. Actionable things you can start using right away to break down that crowd complex and get a handle on the anxiety in the moment.
The very first technique is this powerful mental shift called the one-on-one illusion. And the secret is so simple. To tame the crowd, you have to stop seeing them as a crowd. Instead, you're just having a bunch of little one-on-one conversations with different people who just happen to be in the same room. And here's exactly how you do it. It's a super simple left, middle, right technique. Find one person on the left who looks friendly and engaged and talk just to them for a couple of sentences. Then, shift over to someone in the middle. Talk to them. Then find someone on the right. Just keep rotating between those few friendly faces.
And here's the magic trick behind why this works so well. From a distance, nobody can really tell exactly where you're looking. Your eyes are too small, so when you look at one person, everyone sitting around them thinks you're making eye contact directly with them. So you're only connecting with one person at a time, but the whole room feels like you're talking to them. You've basically just hacked your own brain, and the audience's brain for the better.
Okay, on to our second tool. While the one-on-one illusion is an amazing in-the-moment fix, this next technique is all about rewiring those anxious thought patterns for good. It's a core idea from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT.
It's called cognitive restructuring, and it's basically a step-by-step process. You learn to catch those anxious thoughts as they pop up, you challenge them, like, is this really true? And then you consciously replace them with thoughts that are more rational and helpful. You're pretty much fact-checking your own fear.
Here's a perfect example from a research study. The anxious thought is, if I make a mistake, the audience will think I'm stupid. Total catastrophizing, right? The restructured, more helpful thought is, the audience might not think I'm stupid because making some mistakes when presenting is normal, and this situation will pass soon. You see that shift? It's not about blind positivity. It's about being realistic and rational.
And hey, this isn't just some abstract theory. Researchers at Northeastern University actually built a virtual coach. Her name is Angela, specifically to walk people through this exact process. The AI helps users pinpoint their anxious thoughts and then generates helpful alternatives, which just proves how powerful this technique can be.
So let's bring this all home. The journey from being terrified to feeling confident, it's not really about becoming fearless. It's about a massive shift in what you see when you look out at all those faces.
The day you stop seeing a faceless, judgmental monster and you start seeing a room full of individuals, that's the day everything changes. And you'll realize that the #1 fear on the planet was really just one big illusion all along.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Public speaking isn't about being perfect or never making mistakes. It's about having a message that's more important than your fear. So, now that the illusion is gone, what are you going to say?